Peter Boolkah here, and welcome to today's edition of the Transition Guy. Now in today's episode I'm going to be talking about daily task planning, which has become ever so more important now. So many people are remote working and need a framework in order to be able to get stuff done. And for today's episode we're going to be looking at the Ivy Lee method. So for those of you who've never heard of Ivy Lee, Ivy Lee was a productivity consultant during the early 1900s. And back in 1918, a gentleman called Charles Schwab, who was president of Bethlehem Steel, which happened to be America's largest shipbuilding company and second largest steel corporation, he was looking for productivity hacks at the time. He was looking at how does he get his company to be far more efficient. And he brought on board, had a conversation with Ivy Lee. Now with Ivy, what he said to him was, okay, how can you get me more productive? And what Ivy Lee said was, will you give me 15 minutes with your executives and I'll go through with them how to become more productive. Legend says that he asked at the time, how much will it cost? And he says, you pay me what you think it's worth once it works. So off they went. Now when Ivy Lee was speaking with the executives, he covered 5 basic principles. Principle number 1, write down the 6 most important things to get done at the end of the day. Now the reason we do it at the end of the day is because we know what needs to be done. Yeah, we're very clear about what we need to achieve. Therefore, why would we not write it down? I know a lot of people are in the habit of, well, let me get away quickly and I'll deal with it tomorrow. And I was once in that boat. I used to sort of bolt out and I said, yeah, I'll deal with it tomorrow because I was tired that day. The challenge with that is, well, we often go to bed and we often think about the stuff we need to do the following day. So it messes with us psychologically. It messes with our ability to sleep. I know I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a notepad and having to jot things down just so that I could clear my mind and actually get some rest. So only 6, because if you've got 6 items, you've got to be super focused. Number 2, you take those 6 and you prioritize them in order of importance. So you can say A, B, C, D, E or whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter. But the most important is at the very top, the least important is at the very bottom. Number 3, when you arrive, focus on the one task till completion. Yeah, there's this talk about multitasking. No, do you know what multitasking tends to be? Defocusing. Because we're not able to concentrate on that one thing. Instead of doing one thing exceptionally well, we end up doing 7 or 8 things really badly, or at best in a mediocre fashion. This is all about discipline. This is about actually doing the one big thing and getting it right the first time round. Number 4, apply the same rules to the rest of the tasks. Any outstanding tasks get carried over to the next day. So we don't just forget about them, we don't let them hover, we move them onto our next list. So if you're carrying 3 over, well guess what, you've only got 3 new ones to put on there, because those 3 you're carrying over, they need to be done. And finally, you repeat this process every single working day. So what were the benefits of taking this approach? So what are the benefits of the Ivy Lee system? Well, number 1, it's simple enough to actually execute. There are so many task management softwares and methodologies out there, and some of them can be what I would call complicated, and you spend more time administering the task administration process than you do of actually executing the task itself. This is super simple. Yeah, only 6 tasks at the end of the day. You write them down and you prioritize and you choose the one you kick off with. It's no difficult. It's actually as simple as putting things on paper. Now the reason people don't write things down is because they think they need to have more than 6 tasks. You do not need to have more than 6 tasks, otherwise you end up drowning. Number 2, it forces you to make a tough decision. It actually forces you to prioritize what is it you need to be working on. Not what is it you would like to be working on, but what is it you need to be working on. And actually, what's the most important thing? Because a lot of us will, I know that I've been guilty of it in the past, where I've gone and I've chosen the stuff that I want to do. The tasks that I found more fun than perhaps what really needed to be done. It removes the friction of starting. Now, how often do you find people coming in the morning and they're trying to get organised, and they'll spend forever faffing around before they actually get into it? Well, if you do all the stuff the day before, just like Ivy Lee suggests, and you get your tasks done, you put it into your prioritization, there is no messing around. You are ready to go as soon as you get in. You're focusing on the task in hand. And it requires you to single task. And that's the really important thing. It requires you to not be allowed to get distracted by stuff. And actually, it's more important now than ever, especially when we're out the office environment and a lot of us are remote working, or it's a mixture of blended working where we're spending some time in the office, but more than not, we're actually by ourselves in our remote working location, whether it's a remote office, a home office, whatever. We must become super disciplined in getting stuff done. Not start loads of things or do a lot of things mediocre or very badly. It's actually making sure that we do the one thing well without distraction. And distractions could be the email popping up all the time, checking the phone when a text comes in. No, single focus, get the task done. Do the task really well, then move on to the next task and the next task. And you may be wondering, well, how much did I really get paid for this? Considering that he said, well, pay me what you think it's worth. 3 months later, Charles Schwab cut a check for $25,000. And if you equate it to today's money, it's between $600,000 and $700,000. That was a lot of money to be spending on a little 15 minutes or talk with executives, coming out with a really basic set of lists on what you need to do. So you just got to think back, okay, how do you simplify your whole task list? How do you simplify how you work? And what do you need to do to get your productivity levels up? Now, if anything I've discussed with you today resonates, you want more information around how to be better task planners, how to sort of get your productivity levels up within your organization or within yourself, head over to boolkah.com and get in touch. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you love what you've seen, please comment, subscribe and share with others so we can help other people get their productivity levels up. And remember, failing to learn is learning to fail, and please stay safe.